Planetary hubs are something that's becoming very popular in the BMX world. BSD broke like a lot of news with the BSD Revolution that they got from the Free Night free coaster. And so this is the first time that planetary technology has been used in BMX bikes. I think it's been used in cars before, but I don't know. All I know is BSD Revolution hub came out. It was a planetary hub. I was super excited about it, and I grabbed one. So a lot of people are curious about planetary hubs. Planetary hubs are pretty much a blend between a free coaster and a cassette. They allow you to fakie without pedaling backwards, just like a free coaster, but they don't have a lot of slack like a free coaster does. They act more like a cassette in terms of slack. And when the BSD Revolution came out, a lot of people got really excited about it. Since then, Colony has came out with the planetary hub, and so has Aliation. So there's technically like 4 that are available right now, and I think that more and more are going to be coming out. But as the hype grows, a lot of people have questions about planetary hubs. One of these questions came from my BMX Nerds Discord. BWAG's BMX PA says, so I'm looking to upgrade my free coaster and really like the way the BSD Revolution functions. Anybody riding it now? Do you like it? Hated it? Is it really like a cassette? Need as much feedback as possible, please. And so I'm going to share my experience with the planetary hub, and I'll also share the experience of one of my friends. He had a bad experience, I had a really good experience. And what it really comes down to is your riding style and what you expect out of your free coaster or your hub. Let me explain. So talking about my friend's experience first, he had a big issue with his BSD Revolution locking up on him. Whenever he would 180 into a fakie, it would engage, and then it would act like a cassette where you had to pedal backwards. And this isn't a huge problem if you're expecting it, but when you expect to 180 and be able to fakie backwards like a free coaster without pedaling your cranks backwards, and your crank starts moving backward, it usually throws you back onto your back and onto your head. And this isn't a very good experience. And so having a hub that's supposed to not do that unexpectedly, makes it really hard to trust it. Could you imagine going at a 6 stair and you're gonna 180 down it, but you're not sure if your hub's gonna stay disengaged? Like, I wouldn't trust it either. So he had that problem with it. He ended up selling it to one of our friends in Texas, and he just got rid of it, stuck to his Odyssey clutch because he loves that free coaster. I tested it out when he had it, and I never had those issues. And when he got in contact with BSD about the constant engagement, they told him it was probably because of his foot placement. If you land in a 180 and you move your foot, I think it's backwards, or if your feet aren't perfectly level when you land into it, chances are it's going to engage. And so it had to do with his riding and not necessarily with the hub. I'm sure there's lots of other riders out there though that get into a 180 and have this hub engage on them. Fortunately for me, I didn't have that issue. I could 180 just fine, and I never had it engage. The only time that this hub engaged on me is when I rolled up a bank and started to fakie backwards. And again, that was because of my foot placement when I was rolling up that bank. When I started to roll backwards, my feet weren't perfectly level with the hub, and it started to engage. After some trial and error, I got that worked out and learned how to keep my feet when I was doing fakies. I've had this hub now for, I don't know, probably a year and a half, and I still love it. I can 180, roll backwards, no pedaling backwards. It still has engagement, just like a cassette hub. So if you need to use pedal pressure on a tire tap, or if you need to use pedal pressure on a manual 180, you can do so as long as you're moving forward with it. If you alley-oop into a tire tap, your hub, when you land, is going to be rolling backwards, and therefore it's going to disengage. So your tire tap has to be with a lot of balance. But if you go into it and don't alley-oop into it so that you're moving forward when you tap, you can use pedal pressure. If you're doing a manual, you can use pedal pressure to 180 or 360 out of that manual. And this is a really cool thing because you can't necessarily do that with a free coaster. You have to pedal past the slack before it will actually engage. And so anyway, in my experience with my Revolution hub, which is right here, it's been great. It's been everything that I need, and I've been able to get used to the small quirks that it has and really enjoy it. Kirk, one of the moderators in the Discord, replied to this question, and he said that he heard they came out with a female version. And I haven't seen this version, but I'm sure it's out there, and that's pretty cool too, that now they went from just having a male axle to a female axle on the Revolution. I'd say the technology with the Revolution or with the planetary hubs are evolving, and over the next few years we're going to get some really good hubs with not very many quirks. So if you're looking at a Planetary and you're considering the Revolution or the Venus, or I think it's the Swarm, and just know there are probably going to be some quirks and you're going to have to figure out how to get used to it, because this hub is very different from what we've seen before. It's very different from a cassette, it's very different from a free coaster, it's pretty much like a hybrid between the two. And so the way that you ride it and the way that you get used to it is going to be different than those other two hubs. So you should be prepared for that. Don't forget to join the Discord and ask your question if you have any pressing BMX questions.